Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 308. Since the very beginning of this Jeffrey Epstein case, the Daily Beast and Kate Bricklet have brought the thunder. Article after article, piece after piece, they have been on the hunt for the truth. And you cannot say that about too many outlets. Tonight, the Daily Beast has another article out, and this one is exposing Bill Clinton and his relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell. We're not talking about a relationship in 2002 or 2003. This relationship, this meeting, this hangout occurred all the way in 2014. And now, refresh my memory. Wasn't Jeffrey Epstein convicted by then? Yeah, I think he was, right? So what in the hell is an ex-United States president doing hanging out with Ghislaine Maxwell? Let's jump into this article by Kate Bricklet and find out. Headline, revealed. Bill Clinton's intimate secret dinner with Ghislaine Maxwell. As I said, this article was authored by Kate Bricklet, and it was published on September 22nd. After a star-studded gala in February 2014, Bill Clinton and his entourage headed to a vegan restaurant in Los Angeles for an intimate dinner with friends. Sounds pretty innocuous, right? Dinner with friends, down to the vegan giant. We're going to go get us some, lettuce wraps or whatever it is that they eat at the vegan restaurant. It's cool. Perfect. Ex-president. No problem with that. You want to enjoy your time? Go for it, my friend. Do you? I mean, if I was married to Hillary Clinton, I would be looking for every chance to escape as well. Their destination was Crossroads Kitchen, a Melrose Avenue hotspot that counts Beyonce, Christina Applegate, and Katy Perry as fans, and features a menu with artichoke oysters, sounds just fantastic, hearts of palm crab cakes, and tagliatelle bolognese. That night, the restaurant was bustling. One insider spotted producer Jerry Bruckheimer and actor Bruce Willis, while TMZ recorded actor Sean Penn gliding through the front door. I'm surprised with Jerry Bruckheimer there that there weren't, explosions all over the place, right? And a whole bunch of chase scenes. Producer Steve Bing, Clinton's friend, major Democratic donor, and investor in the restaurant, who died by suicide this year, was already there waiting for the former president. Bill Clinton sure did and does have a colorful cast of people that he hangs around, huh? Steve Bing? You're not familiar with him? He was a movie producer, a movie writer, etc., and he killed himself earlier this year, allegedly due to relationship issues and mental health issues. Former Clinton staffers, Ben Sherwin, a future Snapchat executive, and then talent agent Michael Kives were also invited to the swanky soiree. Sounds like a who's who, right? Got yourself a movie producer, Snapchat executive, a talent agent. I mean, hell, you got the talent agent there. You might as well have the modeling scout. Where's Jean-Luc Brunel with this star-studded cast? But two other unlikely guests joined the party that night. British socialite, child abuser, fellow scumbag, general all-around scuzzball, Ghislaine Maxwell, accused of procuring underage girls for sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein, and tech CEO Scott Borgerson, now rumored to be her husband. Scott Borgerson rears his ugly head once again in the story, huh? So, according to Kate and the Daily Beast, Scott Borgerson and Ghislaine were hanging out all the way back in 2014. According to information obtained by the Daily Beast, Clinton's advance team secured seating for the invitees and specifically noted Maxwell and someone named Scott had RSVP'd for the Thursday gathering. So this wasn't just a situation where they ran into each other at some swanky restaurant where all of these so-called members of polite society go to eat their lettuce wraps. This was calculated, planned, and, well, They all showed up together, right? Bill Clinton, Ghislaine Maxwell, she's on the RSVP list. There's no getting out of this one. Multiple sources with knowledge of the situation say aides had squabbled over Maxwell's invitation beforehand due to her links to Epstein. So, again, there's no getting out of it, right? No wiggling off the hook. Your own aides were fighting with each other over this invitation. Your own aides were engaged in a knife fight over the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's homie, Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator, Jeffrey Epstein's fellow boss of the criminal enterprise, was invited to your little swanky get-together, Mr. Ex-President. Are you folks not embarrassed yet? These are the people we choose to rule over us. These are the sort of scumbags that we choose to lead us. And nothing has changed. Just look at what's going on in the White House now. Even to this day, Clinton insiders continue to point fingers over who should be blamed for Maxwell's addition to the event. Pretty simple, Bill Clinton is who to blame, okay? Not the staffers, not the waiter, not John down the block. Bill Clinton. He is where the buck stops. Ex-President of the United States. Who's going to floss on him and his entourage? Certainly not his Secret Service agents. The sources told the Daily Beast that longtime Clinton gatekeeper Doug Band cut Maxwell out of the president's network in 2011 before he left Clinton's employ the following year. Sounds about right. As much as I despise Doug Band and his disgustingness, he's a shrewd political mind, and he understood that distancing himself and Bill Clinton from Ghislaine Maxwell was probably a pretty good idea. But in Bill Clinton's hubris, or could it be something else? Did they have a dossier on Bill Clinton that required this sort of behavior from him? Again, who knows? There's a lot to this story we still don't know, folks, and it's just heating up. Band flew on Epstein's private jet, including for Clinton's 2002 humanitarian trip to Africa, and was listed in Epstein's Little Black Book. I don't doubt that for 1 minute, and again, I am not a Doug Band fan by any means or stretch of the imagination, but he was the gatekeeper to Bill Clinton for a very long time, so it makes sense that his name is in that book. Information obtained by the Daily Beast indicates John Davidson, Clinton's deputy chief of staff, knew Maxwell was attending the 2014 dinner, which he helped to organize. Davidson did not return messages seeking comment. Yeah, I bet he didn't. I bet he's on the phone with Bill Clinton right now getting reamed. What'd you do? How did this come out? Oh, this is going to sink me. Oh, Hillary. This is an intimate dinner with Clinton in L.A., said one source who was disturbed by the decision. Think of all the people he knows in L.A., and Ghislaine gets to attend. Now imagine that, huh? Of all the people in Los Angeles, well, I don't know, what is there, 18 million people or some crazy wild-ass shit like that in L.A.? Ghislaine Maxwell gets the invite? She's the one that comes to the vegan dinner for some lettuce wraps? Makes you wonder, huh? Are they a little bit closer than the media has been letting on? Just how intimate was this relationship with Bill Clinton, Jeffrey Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell? The legacy media refuses to ask those questions. Maybe it's because some of their quote-unquote faves are going to get caught up in this. Schwerin told the Daily Beast he has no recollection or record of being at the dinner, while Keeves said he did not attend and has never met Maxwell or noticed her at other Clinton dinners. Oh, these people are the worst. I mean, the absolute worst. Marathon-level champions when it comes to distancing. Angel Urena, a spokesman for Clinton, declined to comment and referred the Daily Beast to a statement he issued in 2019. Isn't this nice, huh? And nobody demands anything from Bill Clinton over this, right? There's not a big press conference with 500 reporters pounding him with questions like they should be. It should be an absolute carpet bombing from the legacy media. How dare they let him get away with this canned-ass statement from 2019? New information has come upon us. There are new revelations, new twists, new turns in the story. Can we get an updated answer from the former President of the United States, who is still held in so much high esteem that he had a prominent speaking role at the DNC, but yet we can't have any answers, about his 2014 dinner with Ghislaine Maxwell. What a time to be alive, folks. President Clinton knows nothing about the terrible crimes Jeffrey Epstein pleaded guilty to in Florida some years ago, or those with which he has been recently charged in New York. In 2002 and 2003, President Clinton took a total of 4 trips on Jeffrey Epstein's airplane. 1 to Europe, 1 to Asia, and 2 to Africa, which included stops in connection with the work of the Clinton Foundation. Again, what were they doing in Asia? Why did they go to Thailand? We all know what goes down in Thailand. What was Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein doing in Thailand? Staff, supporters of the foundation, and his Secret Service detail traveled on every leg of every trip. He had one meeting with Epstein in his Harlem office in 2002, and around the same time made one brief visit to Epstein's New York apartment with a staff member and his security detail. He's not spoken to Epstein in well over a decade, and has never been to Little St. James Island, Epstein's ranch in New Mexico, or his residence in Florida. All of those are straight-up lies according to sources. All of them. And yet, here we are, accepting this. This is what we're going to accept, huh? If you're looking for bias, here it is, folks. Here is all the bias at the buffet you can stomach. The legacy media is a dumpster fire. But again, could we ever expect them to do the right thing here? We all know Bill Clinton is protected by people like George Stephanopoulos. One friend of the Clintons told the Daily Beast that Ghislaine was close to Clinton, and daughter Chelsea went backstage at Clinton Global Initiative events and even visited their homes. The source said the Clintons should take responsibility for spending time with Maxwell, who allegedly offered the Clintons hotel stays, air travel, and other largesse. Again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton are involved in some huge trafficking ring and they have kids hidden in their basement. That's not what I'm saying here. Might that be true? I don't know. Maybe. What the hell do I know? Seems like everything could be true nowadays, right? 2020 has really shifted everything from up to down. What I'm saying is they have not taken any responsibility for their relationship with the Clintons, and the legacy media has not held them responsible for it either. All because this is an election year and they're scared to give the other side ammunition. Let's just call it for what it is, folks. That's exactly what's going on here. It's always someone else's fault. It's always not true, the friend said. They're always fighting against the reporting and not that they did it. That's the problem. Yeah, that's the same problem with the WikiLeaks, isn't it? Don't worry about what's inside of those WikiLeaks. Let's focus on how they were released. Give me a break. I am so tired of it. I am so tired of all of these assholes in so-called polite society getting a free pass, especially in the United States of America. How dare the legacy media not be beating down the Clintons' door over this? By the time of the Crossroads dinner, the press had widely reported on Epstein's abuse of girls at his mansion in Palm Beach, Florida, and lawsuits filed by survivors of his trafficking scheme. Claims of Maxwell's involvement were known to Clinton staffers in 2011 when the Daily Mail reported on survivor Virginia Roberts, who said Epstein and Maxwell trafficked her to Prince Andrew when she was 17. So where's the wiggle room? How are you going to get them off the hook this time? I don't want to hear shit about the Clintons anymore, okay? I don't want them in any sort of prominent position. And I just saw that Hillary has a podcast coming out, huh? Well, isn't that sweet? Isn't that sweet? I wonder if anybody's going to ask her about her husband's so-called alleged gumad, Ghislaine Maxwell, and why her husband was cavorting with somebody who was known to be involved in child trafficking. Is anybody in the legacy media going to ask that question? Or is that a conspiracy theory? You bunch of buffoons. The report included a photograph of the British royal posing with Roberts at Maxwell's London home. In the picture, Maxwell smiles in the background as Andrew grips Roberts' bare waist. It's unclear why Maxwell was reintroduced into Clinton's circle, at least for one cozy, meatless dinner in Los Angeles on February 27th, 2014. Oh yeah, I'm sure it was just the one time, right? Because that's exactly what happens. It was just a one-off. We wanted to catch up. I hadn't seen her since her buddy was arrested, and she was protected under that non-prosecution agreement, so I thought it would be a quality time for us to catch up over some lettuce wraps and some cauliflower rice. Who's believing this shit? Obviously the legacy media, but I know none of us are, right? The night of the dinner, one person remembered Borgerson in particular because he wasn't Ted Waite, Maxwell's ex-boyfriend and the billionaire Gateway co-founder. Waite is a friend and supporter of the Clinton family, donating at least $10 million to the Clinton Foundation. She had dated Ted Waite for some time, so for her to go to a dinner like that with someone who's not Ted was indicative that things moved on, the source added. Look, so how many of these people that Bill Clinton is friendly with, that are bagmen for Bill Clinton, are homies with Ghislaine Maxwell? I'll answer that for you. Just about all of them, obviously. And not only that, not just friends, but intimate friends after the conviction. So please, I don't want to hear anything about, oh, Bill Clinton he had nothing to do with it. I don't want to hear shit, okay? This guy is up to his eyeballs in this. TMZ reported Clinton dined with Penn that night, but didn't mention any of the other bold-faced names. The gossip site published video footage of Clinton slipping into the back of the restaurant after a Secret Service motorcade parked, and of Penn striding through the entrance, ignoring Stringer's questions about meeting Bill. Well, there you have it, huh? I mean, if you're hanging out with Sean Penn, I mean, you must be a quality individual because Sean Penn seems to be like a great guy, right? Right? Hours earlier, the men rubbed elbows at the Unite for Humanity gala at a Sony Pictures studio lot where singer Demi Lovato and other celebrities took selfies with the former president. Clinton, who received a Unity Recognition Award, was the keynote speaker. Boy, isn't that nice, huh? Let's just keep putting this guy on a pedestal. Let's just keep making pretend that everything's all good and everything about Bill Clinton is legit. Meanwhile, the guy is an absolute lying scumbag. Clinton flew to New York the next morning, but Maxwell stayed in California. 3 days after the group dinner with Clinton, Maxwell attended the Vanity Fair Oscar Bash in West Hollywood, where a photographer snapped her with Elon Musk, who in response to Twitter critics claimed he was photobombed. Well, that's much more believable than whatever Bill Clinton and his toadies come up with about this dinner, right? Oh, they're going to come up with something. Oh, well, that really didn't happen. You were in a time warp. Who knows what kind of bullshit they're going to come up with this time around, but I'll tell you what. You gotta think the sweat is starting in Camp Clinton. You gotta think people are going to start asking questions. Another source with long ties to Clinton told the Daily Beast they were relieved Page Six or another outlet didn't catch wind of the gathering. In 2014, Maxwell worked to reinvent herself through her oceans nonprofit, the Terramar Project, and was photographed at a slew of society parties. She jet-setted to Alaska for the Iditarod and spoke at a UN roundtable, Google's Ocean Agenda Conference, and a TEDx conference in Charlottesville, Virginia. Must be nice, huh? To be welcomed with open arms by all of these fine, well-established institutes. With the shit she had hanging over her head, with what she did to these children. Can you not see how disgusting and how rotten so-called polite society is, folks? Take a good look. Maxwell, now awaiting trial for perjury and grooming girls for Epstein, was friendly with the Clinton clan for years. She had a front row seat at Chelsea Clinton's wedding in 2010, reportedly as Waite's +1 at the Astor Courts estate in Rhinebeck, New York. Oh, well, what do you know? Bill Clinton, his little girl getting married, her most special day. And who is there in the front row? None other than their bestie, Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's associate, co-conspirator, and fellow child abuser. Maxwell, Chelsea, and husband Mark Mezvinsky flew together on a private plane to rendezvous with Waite for a trip on Waite's yacht. Around that time, Politico reported. Last year, a spokeswoman for Chelsea told CNN the former first daughter was only acquainted with Maxwell because of Waite. And the lies, they just keep piling on the lies. It had nothing to do with your father's relationship with her, right? Only because of Waite. Absolute lies, all of it. And here we are, nobody calling them out. The Daily Beast, the only brave outlet that has the courage to stand against the Clintons, I guess. And believe me, the Daily Beast is no rag to the right. They don't lean to the right. They're no friends to the GOP. But they're telling the truth. Something that has been lost in this Jeffrey Epstein case. Still, Maxwell's ties to the Clintons run deeper. As the Daily Beast previously revealed, Maxwell and Epstein attended a reception at the White House during Bill Clinton's presidency. Bill and Hillary Clinton hosted the 1993 event for donors to the White House Historical Association, which funded Oval Office renovations, including gold draperies and a new rug. So that's real nice, huh? At the People's House, the White House, Bill and Hillary Clinton had Maxwell and Epstein at their reception. At the White House on the people's dime. This isn't a story. This shouldn't be plastered all over your TV sets and all over the the Washington Post and the New York Times. I wonder why it's not being reported on heavily. I wonder what their motivation could be. Maxwell's dubious charity, the Max Foundation, showed a $2,500 contribution to the Clinton Library and Foundation in 2003. And in 2002 and 2003, the socialite, co-conspirator, fellow child abuser, general all-around scumbag and bipedal serpent, traveled with the former president when he took trips on Epstein's plane throughout Asia and Africa. Maxwell also flew from Miami to Westchester County, New York, with a group that included Epstein, Clinton, Secret Service agents, and Sarah Kellen, Epstein's personal assistant and alleged accomplice. So, wait a minute here, folks. Do you need more? How much more evidence is needed that the Clintons and Maxwell and Epstein were not just some kind of rub of the elbows every now and then type friendship people? These were intimate friends. Have you ever been invited to an acquaintance's daughter's wedding? Somebody you met at a party once? I know I haven't been, and they haven't been either, okay? The time for the cover, for the Clintons being laid down by this legacy media, that time is over. It is time these people have been exposed. In 2009, one attorney for Epstein survivors hired an investigator to serve Maxwell with a subpoena as she smoozed at the Clinton Global Initiative annual meeting in New York. To say she was upset about being publicly served at this function is an understatement, attorney Brad Edwards wrote in his book. So she was served at one of Epstein's functions. At one of Bill Clinton's functions. Right? With a subpoena. And yet, Bill Clinton still invites her to the nice vegan spot for a lettuce wrap. How can anyone wrap their head around that and not come to the conclusion that Bill Clinton is in deep here? I mean deep, folks. Clinton isn't the only high-profile politician under fire over ties to Epstein and Maxwell. President Donald Trump palled around with Epstein in the 90s, and at least until 2002, when he called the hedge funder a terrific guy in an interview with New York. Absolutely, it's disgusting to think that anyone would call Jeffrey Epstein a terrific guy. Never mind the current president. I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it, Jeffrey enjoys his social life, Trump told the magazine, and that is abhorrent, right? The fact that Donald Trump would be hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein is just abhorrent. I can't even imagine. The real problem here for me is the fact that we now have two presidents, one ex and one current, who were associated with this man. How did we get here? How did we get to that point? And how do we make sure that it never, ever happens again? In 1992, Trump held a calendar girl competition at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, and Epstein was reportedly the only guest. So look, I don't want to hear any nonsense from people on the right that Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump weren't friendly, they weren't buddies, they were. All right? Point blank, period. There's no disputing the fact that these dudes palled around. And the fact that Jeffrey Epstein would be the only guest for a calendar girl competition at Mar-a-Lago is kind of weird to me and a bit gross, to be honest with you, and it needs to be looked into a bit more. I would love to hear the whole story about that. The same year, Epstein and Trump were videotaped at what appears to be a different party at Trump's private club. Found in the NBC archives, the footage was for a talk show profile on Trump's new life as a divorcee. The men ogle women on the dance floor, and Trump apparently tells Epstein, "Look at her, back there, she's hot." Epstein smiles and nods before collapsing into giggles after Trump whispers something in his ear. Aw, look at the two buddies, huh? Look at them jostling each other. Look at them having a great old time. Two members of so-called polite society living it up. It all makes me sick. I want the whole entire so-called polite society destroyed. Jane Doe, one survivor of Epstein's sex ring, said the financier, pedophile, introduced her to Trump in 1994 when she was 14 years old. Her lawsuit said Epstein elbowed Trump playfully before asking, "This is a good one, right?" I mean, really? What sort of grown-ass man does that? A 14-year-old girl? It's all just so sick. I'm just so sickened by all of our so-called rulers, our so-called betters, and it all needs to be purged. I can't anymore with these people. Trump smiled and nodded in agreement. Doe's complaint alleges they both chuckled and Doe felt uncomfortable, but at the time was too young to understand why. Doe does not accuse Trump of any misconduct. Epstein and Trump were good friends, Epstein's brother Mark told the Washington Post, adding that Trump flew on Epstein's plane numerous times. The financier's address book contains multiple entries for Trump and now First Lady Melania. There's no disputing the fact that these guys were close friends for a while. All right, billionaires, these sort of people, they're always cavorting. And if anyone thinks that Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump, a known playboy, a known man with a broken moral compass, are not cavorting and looking for girls together, you're being very naive and you are eating at the buffet of bias. The men supposedly had a falling out over real estate in 2004 when Epstein tried to outbid Trump in a bankruptcy auction for the Palm Beach mansion of nursing home magnate Abe Gossman, according to the Post. 3 years later, Page Six reported Epstein was banned from Mar-a-Lago. Trump also apparently hobnobbed with Maxwell. At a COVID press conference in July, Trump told reporters he met Maxwell numerous times over the years, but couldn't answer whether he thought the beleaguered socialite, scumbag, child abuser, Jeffrey Epstein's fellow co-conspirator, would spill dirt on other famous people accused of partaking in Epstein's trafficking scheme. And when he said that, I couldn't believe my ears. I wish Ghislaine Maxwell well, huh? If you want to hear my take on that, just go ahead back and listen to the episode. I don't know. I haven't been following it too much, Trump said. I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach. I guess they lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well, whatever it is. Another one. Just be honest about your relationship, President Trump. It's obvious you were homies with these people. It's obvious you were hobnobbing with these people. But the fact of the matter is this, guys. Bill Clinton was hanging out with Ghislaine Maxwell in 2014. After the conviction, after we knew what Jeffrey Epstein was, and after everybody knew what Ghislaine Maxwell had been accused of. And for the legacy media not to be in a frenzy over it, for the legacy media not to be going crazy with questions to Bill and Hillary, shows you that they truly do not care about justice in this case. All they care about is trying to wield parts of this case as a political cudgel to try and hurt their perceived political rivals. And it's obvious to anyone paying attention, and it's obvious that's what's occurring in the legacy media. So I wonder, with this story breaking in the Daily Beast, if they're going to find any integrity as a whole and dig deeper into Bill Clinton's relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell. Because as of now, we haven't seen any of it. Very rarely do you even hear Bill Clinton's name brought up when Ghislaine Maxwell is mentioned. And I think it's time for that to end. I think that we need to be as steadfast in our pursuit of justice in regards to Bill Clinton and his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein as we are with anybody else. Donald Trump, Prince Andrew, or anybody else that might have been around that has information about what went down. As of now, Bill Clinton has done nothing but lie and deceive. Why would anyone think that he would tell the truth about this meeting with Maxwell? If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All of the links that go with this episode can be found in the description box. All right, everybody, I'll be back tomorrow. I hope you all have a fantastic night.